It's David here from the Folding Towers podcast. Before we dive into this episode, a quick shout out for the Soft Tissue Therapy Congress 2025, organised by the Melbourne Institute of Massage and Myotherapy. It's happening on Sunday, 26th of October at La Trobe Uni in Bundoora, Victoria, and it's set to be a great day of learning and connection. You'll hear from speakers like Sarah Nemi on exercise prescription, Kylie Hicks on working with complex pain, and Alicia Crook on building a thriving clinic. Plus, Jackie and I will be up there doing a live Folding Towers podcast Q&A. It's a full day of learning and fun. Come say hi, and it counts as 7 CPE points to your annual obligation. Grab your tickets by visiting mimt.edu.au or follow the link in the show notes. Hello and welcome back to another exciting episode of the Folding Towers podcast. How are you, Jackie?
Hi, David. I'm so good. Oh, can I tell you something really quickly?
Yes.
My daughter, who is 10 years old, she plays soccer. We were just at her game this afternoon, like this evening. I've just got back from there a short time ago, and she got her very first goal for the season.
That is exciting. And you were there to see it.
And I was there to see it, yes.
Yes.
It was wonderful. It was so good.
Proud mum moment.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very much. How are you, David, though?
I'm really well. I've been for a stroll through the hills today.
Oh, that's nice.
Went chasing some waterfalls, found a pub at the top of the top of the hills.
Yeah.
For a civilized lunch, wandered back down. I've decided that all nature needs to be experienced in this way.
That sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
I like
Can't walk on an empty stomach. Hey, Jackie, we are joined by a guest today.
We are. I'm so excited for today. Who is it, David?
We are talking with Nick Gabriele. Hello, Nick.
Hello, David. Hello, Jackie. I love being here today.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, this is wonderful. I was looking forward to this all week.
It's going to be a great conversation today. So I'll just briefly introduce you, Nick. You have lived your life as a therapist and as an educator and a clinic manager. Years ago, you built a platform which I remember when it first launched was SoapFold, and I remember many of my colleagues were using it way back when. So it was a charting tool that grew into a full practice management platform, which we now know as Noterro. And your guiding philosophy has always been around practitioner first, building smart, simple tools that save therapists time and reduce admin burdens, that's a little bit different, a bit of a different approach. We usually see things benefiting the administrator first. So we're going to have a chat with Nick today about your story. We're going to dive specifically into some of the realities of mobile therapy, and then we'll explore how Noterro is addressing some of those challenges.
I can't wait for this. I actually went and had a look at the website the other day before, as soon as I knew that we were talking to you, Nick, and it's got a lot of stuff in there. Like, there are so many awesome things. I mean, I obviously have not signed up, so I haven't used the website and used all the things, but yeah, I'm really excited to talk to you about everything today. So hi.
Hello. That's great.
So
I don't care about anything else except my kid got a goal for soccer, so sorry.
And you had a massage today.
And I did have a massage today, so I am all over the place.
Wonderful.
So Nick, you've been a therapist and an educator and a clinic manager. What did wearing all of those hats teach you about the daily struggles that practitioners face?
Yeah, that's an interesting question because on top of that, I've worked in many different settings, been exposed to many different practitioners, everything from doctors. I've worked with doctors and physios and chiros, and everyone has the same issue. Like when you think about when you went to school, you're naive, you're passionate about what you want to study, whether it's massage or physio or whatever you're doing. And that's what you want to do, and that's what you think you're going to do when you graduate. No one tells you about the business aspect. There's always a bit of, they sprinkle in some, business course in there, but they don't tell you about the business aspect. They don't tell you about the administrative tasks of keeping notes and chasing billing. And so it's interesting that it doesn't matter what discipline you are. Everyone seems to have that same story, and when they come out, they're passionate about, because they're drawn to the profession for a reason, and that's what they want to do. They don't want to be burdened by all the other stuff. And then what they find very quickly is that it is a burden. I mean, we were talking before this, and you were talking about this is your admin day, not exclusively, but there is a catch-up that you need to do, and if you don't schedule these catch-ups, or if you don't stay on top of it, you could be overburdened very, very, very quickly with all the stuff that's catching up, and it just keeps coming. It just keeps piling and piling and piling. So that I found consistent. Didn't matter if you're talking to students or you're talking to people who had been practicing for years. It's the same story. Everyone has the same story.
It's certainly a very true thing is that I do remember those first couple of years where I was inefficient at the administrative side of the work, and it was just glossed over. I remember seeing client charts in the student clinic, and all people were writing was FBM. This is what I did say was an FBM, a full body massage.
Yeah.
What did you find? What did you see? What was different? Nothing, no details. And when you're only given a few minutes in between each person and just run on the hour, every hour, churn the people through, that you had to be efficient to get those things done.
Yeah, and for you or for many others as a student, what you really enjoyed doing was treating people, interacting with people, connecting with people.
Correct.
And it had nothing to do with FBM was sufficient, because that's literally what I did, but you didn't document anything else. And in this world of documentation and covering your butt, the demands on every profession has just increased where it was even, like, say 10, 15 years ago. And even in Canada, the demands on, say, for the physicians, I know some of the physicians have stopped practicing because after their day, they spend another 4 hours just on documentation alone.
Yeah.
And they can't make a living, running an office, trying to run a family, going to soccer as an example. They miss out on a whole bunch of things, but they really want to be a physician because, whether it's a calling or whether they for whatever reason, they've gravitated to that, and now they can't do that because of all the other things that are in the way.
It's really hard to juggle, even as David and I were talking with someone recently, and David probably not coined the phrase, but said the phrase chief everything officer.
Yeah.
I'm definitely the chief everything officer in my life, and I have full flexibility. And if I want to change something, I can. But that doesn't mean it's easy to do. And I have 2 kids that play 2 different sports. And even just juggling that, around work is alone, not to mention doing the shopping, following up on all those emails, keeping the house clean, cooking food. It just never ends. It's so many things to juggle. You are 100% correct. It's a lot.
Yeah. So SOAPOL came at a time when there weren't that many digital options about. What problem were you trying to solve, and why did you make note-taking the centerpiece of that?
So, I mentioned that students are naive, or could be naive. We were naive, but the focus was the practitioner, and it always has been the practitioner. What we were trying to solve is I owned a school, and we had a public massage clinic, many files. So we had 2 credenzas that were there were each 4-drawer credenzas, and so you can imagine the amount of files. But the problem is that David Clayton would come in for a massage one week, and the student would file it under Z. Who knows why? And no one could find David Clayton anymore. Or maybe you're under Y because there's the Y in your name. Who knows how students play? But it was a common problem. And so David gets annoyed every time he has to come in because he has to fill out these health history forms or these intake forms. And so, and there's always, with running a student clinic, there's a transient nature of just the clientele, and so you don't necessarily get the same. You do get your frequent flyers who come through, but you don't always get the same people coming through, and so there's a lot of one-offs, and the files piled up. Just incredible amount of files that we would have for the reasons of mismanagement and everything with just the one-offs, and so we needed a better solution, and so that directed us into providing and that's where the SOAP Vault came from. It was just a note-taking platform, and it had to be a software as a service, and we didn't want it to be loaded on your computer so anyone could access it. But we're just really trying to solve the problem of space and just making it easier and consistent. And the other thing with written notes, you can't read people's writing. It becomes very difficult. When I was in university, I abandoned note taking because I couldn't even read my own writing because you were trying to scribble so fast. And so I went to just jotting things down and then reinforcing with a textbook. So there's a whole bunch of problems with just written note, and you did see FBM. And with digital notes, you can create legible notes and well documented notes, and it was just easier to manage. And that's really where this spurned from.
I remember some of those student clinic forms would cut. You can't help but get oil everywhere as a massage therapist, including on your client forms.
yes, exactly. Yeah, that's funny.
So many practice management platforms are sort of front of house first and clinician second. So they really do revolve around the person behind the front counter, or maybe the bean counter of the organization. So why did you flip that model, and how has it influenced the evolution of Noterro?
If you think about outside of billing and booking appointments, those are pretty easy tasks to do. Not that note taking is a hard task, but when you think about, there's a great deal of time spending in documentation, and I'm not sure what the regulations are in Australia, but the regulations here they're pretty strict in what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to document within 24 hours, and all those things that you were talking about. Not FBM is not suitable documentation.
No.
And when you think of the amount of time someone has to spend within a platform, or whether it's pencil and paper that you're using, or pen and paper, whatever you're using, it's still an enormous amount of time that you have to spend on documentation. And that's really what we're trying to solve, realizing that the practitioner or the therapist is the one that is burdened by all this. The other stuff are just tasks, booking appointments, chasing bills. Those are just easy tasks that most platforms can handle. And at the time, no one was thinking of the notes. So if you looked at some of the scheduling platforms, they started including notes, but they just gave you text fields to just type in your notes, which wasn't very handy, because if you weren't quick at typing, it actually was longer to do your notes. And so no one considered looking from the note aspect and what is the burden on the practitioner, because they're the ones that spend the greatest amount of time. And part of our conversation at the beginning was about, you want to spend time with your patients or your clients. You don't want to be spending time note taking. And so that's what we were trying to solve. And so to free up your time, can mean spending more time with your clients, or spending more time going for a walk if you want to, or having that time to cook your dinner, or whatever it is. You don't want to be burdened by, at the end of the day, to do 2 or 3 hours of note taking. And so that's what we were chasing.
I remember when I first started my business, and this is probably 12 years ago or so, but in those first few years, it was basically everybody was using paper. The digital age was really just beginning, and I remember a lot of people recommending Soap Vault, because it was finally sort of focused on the note-taking aspect, because everybody, like you said, everybody wanted the booking aspect and the scheduling aspect, but there were so many platforms coming out that completely ignored the note taking. And I remember how popular it was and everybody recommending it back then. I'm not sure how long ago you developed SoapVault, but it was definitely around when I started.
2011 when we came out.
Yeah, right. Okay. Yeah. It was such a thing. And I know in Australia we had a platform here that became very popular sort of after that, later in that decade, called Get Timely, but that still had no note taking because that was designed for hairdressers.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a hairdressing platform, which is great for hairdressers. Like, it was built for hairdressers and beauty therapists that needed to remember, you know, hairstyles and colors and makeup and stuff. But again, it had no note taking. So yeah, SoapVault was just like the thing for such a long time. Yeah.
And so therapists were often operating two platforms side by side, that note-taking function and their calendar function.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, and I used to work across two different clinics, and people would see me at both of them. I have paper records at each, and I was never up to date, depending on when I'd last seen them. Just made things a little bit more challenging. So the current flavor of the day in any software as a service is AI, and we're seeing computers now are coming out with AI involved, and this has got AI built into it, and that's got AI, and a sprinkling of AI with that. Like, how do you tell the difference between features that are added because they can be and features that actually solve real problems for practitioners?
So we're really conscious of this, and to be cautious as well when we're adding AI as any of the features or a feature set within the product. When you're looking at AI and what you're trying to solve, these are large language models that can, analyze large amounts of data very quickly and come up whatever the result that you're looking for. So if you're looking at AI to create an invoice for you, maybe it's a verbal command. To us, that doesn't make any sense, because if the appointment is open, it's a click of a button. You can click a button just as quickly as you can speak. So I think you may see platforms jump into this very quickly and trying to inject it, not just with the space that we're in. It could be any space. For instance, I know with our weather network up here, they had an AI assistant, but they've abandoned that because all the data is in front of you if you want to see what the weather is. I'm not sure what you would use that assistant for. And so that was an example of, using AI as an assistant to ask a weather-related question. But most people, the weather-related questions, they want to know if it's going to rain or if it's going to snow or what's going to happen in your, immediate future or your near future. And we don't, we're trying to be purposeful in using AI and what it's trying to solve. So we have it right now that it can summarize a form for you as an example. So, someone fills out an intake form, you got to look at all the check boxes and go through it. Just with a click of a button, it'll summarize the form. We call them insights. So if someone said they had they're experienced a rapid weight loss in the last couple of weeks, that will highlight that as an insight to say that you might want to take a look at this, and so it gives you a bit of insights, and it gives you a summary in natural language, and so you don't have to look at all the check boxes. You can just read a paragraph. You can copy that and put it in your subjective section as an example. So that's I think a great use case for solving a problem. And many other platforms have the where it listens to the conversation and it can create notes, or you can dictate it and it'll create a note. That's another appropriate use, in my opinion, because it can analyze large amounts of data. So, for example, you can send someone's profile and all the notes, and it can come up with a health score or the efficacy of treatment. It could definitely determine the efficacy of treatment, but I was practicing, say, for over 20 years, and no one ever challenged me on the efficacy of treatment. I'm not saying it wouldn't be a handy feature, but I don't think most people would need that kind of that kind of output to say, hey, I'm treating this person, and I send it through a large language model that analyzes the data, and it says at the end of this is that I've been treating David, and David started with me with low back pain, and it was scored out of 8 out of 10. He's provided me treatment, and my back pain is done. And he can give you a quick executive summary as an example, and it's great for marketing. It's great to prove it to insurance companies. That would be an example of what AI would be suited for. But it would also be a feature that I don't think most people do need, and it would probably be only maybe the upper 10 to 15% that would use a feature like that. So again, there's an appropriate use for it, but how many people would actually need it? When you think about your phone, for example, you just use the primary tools, and there's secondary features that you have on your phone that some people use. Again, those upper 10 to 15% that use all the features, and most people just use the common features. So again, we're just purposeful. And the other thing about AI that's kind of interesting, there's people who are not skeptical, but they're cautious about AI being injected into their clinic. They don't even want to see it. So we have it in our help center. It's a great way of using a help center. If you recall, chat bots that you had even just 5 years ago, they were programmed, and it took you down to like a decision tree. It depends on how you're interacting with it, and oftentimes it would come up with, you need to speak to an agent. Whereas now the chatbots are fantastic because it can look at all your help articles, it's trained on it, and it can come up with accurate answers. That's another great use case for injecting AI. But we've had people say they don't even want to see that in the platform. They don't trust that it's not looking at all your data and somehow doing something with it. So there's also the trust factor still with AI. So it's just, I think it has to, you have to understand what AI does in these large language models, and what could they actually solve, because you just don't want to inject it everywhere in your platform.
Mm.
I think there can be a bit of a learning curve as well with how to use what we call AI. Like, I know David has really kind of embraced, you love Chat GTP. You do tell me sometimes that you have used Chat GTP
not
for
from a
things.
clinical aspect, though.
Not in clinic,
No.
no, more for personal sort of stuff,
Yeah.
and for the podcast a little.
Yeah.
But I tend to be a little bit more of a skeptic. But then I also like to do the things that I like to do, and I sometimes am a little bit wary of change.
Yeah.
I think that can play a little role as well, that people get, especially when you're very busy, you do the things that you are doing, and learning a new thing can often be it's that big step that you have to take to learn the new skill before you can integrate it.
Yep, and we find that with features that we release, it's no different than any other platform. People who have been using, say, our platform for years, we release features, and they haven't adopted the feature. Just exactly what you're saying, Jackie, is that you're just so used to your regular patterns,
Yeah,
that you don't see that feature, you don't want to see that feature, you don't want to learn that feature, because what you're doing is efficient for you right now.
that's right. Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about Noterro? I know that's kind of a very broad question, but like, for those people that haven't used it, I'm probably not asking you to give us a bit of a spiel, but what does it do? Why would I want to use it? Because I actually did go onto your website and have a look a couple of weeks ago, and I mentioned to David, wow, this has everything on it. And I do want to ask you in a minute actually about the mobile aspect. I know we definitely wanted to talk to you about that, because that's a thing in Australia that a lot of people have an issue with, finding a platform as a mobile therapist. But yeah, can you just tell us a little bit about Noterro, like maybe how it
Sure.
started, or how we can use it? Anything. Sorry.
Yeah, no problem. I mean, as we were saying, it evolved from this soap note platform, and we realized we were pigeonholed by the name of Soap Vault, and so that's why we changed the name to Noterro. that just came out of a Swedish word for, it was Noterra, and it meant notes. And so we, if you're trying to get a .com, you have to just sort of play with the words a bit in order to get a .com. And so that's where the branding came about. So we were just more than just a charting or note platform. And it was really driven, the evolution was really driven by our users, because you have notes, and then they would say, well, I want invoices. And then from invoices, we want a calendar. And from calendar, we want a billing system, and we want to be integrated with insurance. And so you start developing all these features. And what happens is that we did lose sight there for a bit, because we're developing all those features, and we forgot we're practitioner first. And so here we have this practitioner first platform, and now we've come full circle, and we're going through quite a few updates and changes to how the platform looks. And we are really trying to hold true to what our values, and our value proposition of keeping people out of the platform so you can do what you want to do. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to create a platform that's easy and intuitive to use, and it's not going to be a burden on you, as you said, to learn a new feature or to even just run your practice. There are platforms out there that have the same features but much more configuration. With more configuration comes more complexity of any platform. It doesn't matter what you're looking at, and we believe that we can solve a lot of the wants and needs of 80% of the market, and that other 20 or 30% that we might not have the configuration for, then this isn't the platform that might meet your needs. And we're not trying to sell you on that. So we're really trying to create products that, whether it's spending more time with your patients or clients, or spending more time at soccer games or cooking or whatever, all those other things that are challenging in your life, that's really what we want to do. And we want to get back the time so you can do what you want to do, what you're trained to do as a massage therapist or physiotherapist. So overall, we're a feature-rich platform, but we really are trying to clean up a lot of our workflows and our interfaces and modernize it.
Trying to keep it as simple as possible for
simple
us.
as possible. Yeah.
I love it.
Simple. Yeah, simple as possible. So when you're looking at how other platforms, and again, I don't know what their research and development is, but because my background is 20 years, and I think I have a really good understanding of the day-to-day movement of a therapist and what it's like. And there's nothing worse than the benefit of paper. You can do it very quickly. FBM is, David, you said it. It's like it takes no time to write FBM, right? And then you're not really done for the day, but you theoretically are done. And so you have to. There's a balance of trying to make it really good notes, and to the documentation to be accurate, but not to also burden the therapist with spending hours in a platform. And so that's where AI does. I mean, I'll just give you a quick example. So I could see a whole bunch of people, and in between, as they're getting off the table, within a minute, all I have to do is talk to, use my Noterro scribe, and all I have to do is just quickly say, Jackie came in today, this is how she presented, this is how I treat it, and then I'm done. And then at the end of the day, I just review all my scribes, and I just push them and click a button. I just review them, say, yep, this is good. And I just click a button that says add and finalize, and the notes are done. So what would normally take, maybe an hour, you could have all your notes. You could see, say, 10 people and probably have all your notes done in 10 minutes. So that's how fast it could be done. And so that's what we're trying to do, is we honestly want to keep you out of our platform. If I could put it simplistically, we obviously want you to use it, but we don't want to see this as another thing that I have to do in my day.
Yeah. Because honestly, I know a lot of people spend a lot of time doing their paperwork, doing their invoicing, doing their notes. Like, it is something you can spend a lot of time on.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily want to, but
if I was practicing today, there is no way I would be typing anything. There's not a chance. And
Yeah,
I don't,
wow.
and I would just be talking, and let a large language model reassemble my thoughts, and I can just make tweaks to it, and then quickly finalize a note, and then you have like fantastic notes. And if that note is really well done, the next time I see Jackie, I might not need to do that, because I'll just duplicate the note and just make an adjustment. And I have this, I have this pattern of notes going forward that I can just quickly update. And that's even a quicker way than using, talking, because I just hit one button, duplicate, open the note, and just make some refinements to it, and then finalize it, and I'm done. So if you use the tools the way they've been set up for it, the way we've programmed to, you can save a lot of time. And I think that's what we're trying to do now. What we're trying to do is put that across the platform, so it becomes very easy and intuitive to not only use, but also set up your clinic and onboard your clinic.
Hmm. Well, let's talk about mobile therapy, because so many of these packages are designed for the front of house, the person sitting behind the computer at the desk. It's not a realistic setup for the person who's on the road. And there are so many challenges being on the road, of carting all the equipment, of not necessarily having access to a laptop and a desk, grabbing your lunch and eating that as you go from one client to the next. So in your experience, what is it that makes running a mobile practice fundamentally different to working in a clinic?
So we started with talking to a whole bunch of mobile therapists and finding out what their challenges are, and you've alluded to some of them, but one of the biggest challenges that they would have is they would have any of these platforms, and they would need to set up a location, and the location just may say, at home or virtual location or whatever it says, but I don't know how. I mean, you're explaining that Adelaide is a fairly long city, and so when you're setting up an online booking, someone can book in the north end and then the south end, or the east or west. I'm not sure how it's stretched, but the point is that you could be in one part of the city, and then in another part of the city, and then jump to back to the same part of the city that you just came from, and you're bouncing all over the city. And what you would have to do is you would have to set up your services to accommodate that travel time that you might not even realize that you may need, because you may have two appointments almost side by side, and you've set up like a 2-hour appointment for a 60-minute treatment, just to accommodate for that 60 minutes, and there's a whole bunch of wasted time. And so what we found is that one of the biggest challenges is that wasting of time, jumping all over the city. And so that was one of the things. You mentioned equipment. What equipment do I need to bring? I'm not familiar with. I can't remember. Do I need to pay for parking on this? Do I park on the street? Do they have underground parking? All those things that you may think, oh, you would remember. You don't remember sometimes, because you haven't seen the person, and you don't exactly remember where they live, and you don't remember, do I have to lug my table up, a flight of stairs, or is there an elevator? Do they have pets? And all the logistics and all those nuances of each individual, because you're going into a different treatment room every single time, and there's no way to capture notes. There was just inefficiencies of billing and note taking, all that. So if you look at that, so if you think of all the challenges that someone who works at a physical location, it's just multiplied. There's a factor in there that's multiplied that makes mobile practice so much harder and so much more difficult.
So Noterro is starting to accommodate mobile work, which is quite revolutionary. What were the questions, or how many therapists, and how did you engage with therapists in trying to find out what it is that they needed?
So we talked to them directly. So we, from conferences that we attended, to surveys that we put out, to talking to influencers in this space as well. So we did talk to everyone. We did our own research and trying to find out at least the first version, or the release. We call it Noterro GO. What should that first release include? that would make the life of a mobile therapist that much easier. And so we have some really interesting features, and we did look at all those challenges that I was mentioning. And the first challenge is that you can, with any city or area or region, you can set up what's called a service area. So you can geo-fence a service area. So you can draw a polygon on a map, basically, and you can put that service area within your calendar. I believe you guys call them diaries. So within your diaries, you can put, on Friday afternoon from 4 to 8, I work in North Adelaide, and if your location is not within North Adelaide, that polygon that I drew on the map, they won't be able to book an appointment. Mm-hmm. And so it prevents you from jumping all over. And maybe you only want to work in North Adelaide. And so if you think about, as an example, of someone who's working and they just, if they don't have the ability to define a service area, they can't say, I only want to work in North Adelaide. They might get South Adelaide or East or West, and they don't want to work in North because maybe for a whole bunch of reasons. Maybe that's where they live and they don't want to travel too far from home. And so you can define the areas, and you can define multiple areas. So if you only want to work in North Adelaide and South Adelaide, you want to do Tuesdays, you can do that. And you can define that on your calendar. Or you may have a combination. So maybe you have a clinic and you want to do mobile. We'll allow you to do both. So you can set up a service area, and you can put also your clinic that people can also book at your clinic within your service area. So it could be a hybrid if you wanted to. And then even within that polygon that you draw, you can limit how far you want to travel between appointments. So you can draw a radius and say, I only the person who books the next appointment, they have to be within 4 kilometers of this appointment. So there's a lot of control. And when you're talking about a wasted time, mobile therapists do waste an incredible amount of time just driving all over the place, or waiting in parks, or sitting in their car because they're waiting for their next appointment. And so that was the first thing that we solved was the service area. Or the
That's amazing. Like, I'm listening to that, and I know that there are going to be people listening to this episode that do mobile therapy here in Australia that are just like, I have to sign up for this right now. This is fantastic, because this is probably the biggest issue with therapists that are out on the road, like that getting around, and like, that's just so good. I love this. This is probably solving a bigger problem than doing the notes.
For mobile it is. And the other thing too is because we were talking about safety before, and we've part of the platform is that you can designate someone as your safety contact. So David, maybe you could designate Jackie as your safety contact. And so we have a concept of when you arrive at the appointment, you clock in and the timer is going. And so if your appointment is 60 minutes and you might have, say, a 15-minute recovery time where there's a cleanup and everything, if after the 75 minutes, David doesn't clock out, we send David a reminder to say, hey, you haven't clocked out yet. If he still hasn't clocked out, Jackie, you may get, because you're a safety contact, you will get either a text message, a phone, or an email, or all three, depends on how he sets it up, to say David hasn't checked out of his appointment yet.
Wow.
So, I mean, we again, that was the other, talking to therapists, that was the other big feature, especially and it's not just females, but females going into an unknown home. And that was a big thing as well. And so the idea that there is someone who can, basically they're monitoring my appointments, and then at that point, I mean, whatever you need to do, Jackie, but there's a concept of someone has been contacted to let you know that, David hasn't checked out of his appointment.
That's also something that gets discussed a lot, that safety aspect with people, even for people that work from their own homes or work in like a little office that no one else is sort of really close by or around.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, and like you said, like, roughly 75% of massage therapists are women, and they're often like, oh, well, I don't want to let this male client that I have know that I'm home by myself.
Exactly.
That is such a great feature. I didn't realize you had that. That's awesome.
Yeah, and if I had to, like, if I was using, the way we've set it up, I would, set the safety contacts and the geo-fencing or define my service area, but I would set my online booking. I'm going to use the word train. I would train my clients that if they want to book an appointment with me, they have to go through online booking. I would set up all my appointments that are required to be paid before they book, so I don't even have to deal with the paid aspect. So now the invoicing is done. I'd set my cancellation policy as, very generous for me to say that if you don't cancel within 48 hours, I'm keeping, basically there's no refunds. And so I get paid. So there's that concept of losing income that you don't have to worry about as a mobile therapist, because you're asking everything for upfront. You don't have to deal with that when you're at the person's home. If someone fills out an intake form, I'm going to summarize it first. And as I'm traveling to that person's home, with Noterro GO, we'll play it back for you, and it will read it to you of what you're going into, basically. So if it's a brand new person and you want to know what was on that intake form, you just push a button and it's going to read it to you of a summary of what the person was doing. And then after you do that, then think about it. We also have a list. Like you can create a list of the parking, do they have pets, is it an apartment, is it a house? So all those things are known to you. Do you need to bring sheets? Do they have their own table? All that's captured within Noterro GO. So you know exactly what you're going into. You have this form being summarized. The appointment's paid. All you have to do is go and treat. And then when you come back to the driveway, you use the scribe feature, which takes you a minute, and then you go to your next appointment. And so the inefficiencies have all been solved with the tools that we provide for you.
Yeah, wow. I'm blown away. I didn't realize that you had some of those features, even though I did check out the website and had a look.
Sure.
It's a lot. That's really cool.
I had done some research, but I was still blown away just hearing it explained. Just how feature rich this is, and that you've actually taken the time to listen and to solve those. They're big problems.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, is that we are trying to listen as opposed to, push features, because, if you're trying to grow a product and develop features without listening to what your customers are wanting or needing, and mobile has really, really specific needs that other therapists just don't have. And so we're trying to, and I mean, this is just the beginning for mobile. There's other things that we want to do with it. Maybe some vetting process of the person who's booking the appointment as well. We're looking at tools to do that. However we solve that problem, because that's also another thing, because as you said, majority of therapists, and it's just not massage therapists, there's, at least in Canada, there's a whole bunch of people that do now mobile care. It could be mobile foot care.
Yes.
Physios and chiros also go into homes quite a bit now as well. So there's a whole bunch of people that are going into homes, and it would sure be nice to at least, have some sort of vetting process of the home you're going into, or the person who's booked an appointment. And there's also, phrases that people use when they're booking an appointment and they're thinking they're getting something else. And so, again, just trying to identify that and just putting tools within the platform, again, keeping safety. So there's other things that we want to do also with Noterro GO.
That's awesome. I love it. A really important question, perhaps, because we are in different countries. You're in Canada, which is amazing. And I have a friend who's actually on holiday in Canada at the moment.
Oh, nice.
And she's posting some beautiful photos to Facebook, and I am just dying inside thinking I'm so jealous. Good on her for going. It's just absolutely stunning there. And we are obviously in Australia, David and I.
Sure.
David, I've forgotten what my question was now. What was my question? I'm just picturing the photos, the images. No, where is Noterro available? Are you everywhere, all the countries?
Most countries, yeah. So obviously in Australia, we have quite a few clinics in Australia. North American is obviously our main market. The UK, we're in the UK and in some European countries as well. It's not that it's not available, but this is where most of our market, if we had to, say 80% of the market is 80 to 90% is North America, and then Australia's next, and then the UK.
Oh, okay.
Australia ranks.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, definitely.
We're number 2.
Representing. Yeah, that's right.
Can I ask, whereabouts are you in Canada, Nick? Because we didn't really talk about that in the beginning.
So we were just outside of Toronto in Ontario. It's a central province. Well, depends on where you are. If you're in Western Canada, they would say we're in Eastern Canada, which is not exactly true. We're not exactly central. We're slightly east of central.
Yes.
But we did have an office at one time, and then there was something called a pandemic that hit.
Well, I've never heard of it.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you're familiar with it. And so we actually gave up our office space, and we're fully remote. And so we have people in different parts of Canada, but majority of us are in Ontario. And then we do have other people we work with in different parts of the world as well that are part of our team. So we have people basically all over. In most continents, we have someone working for us.
Oh, really? Okay. You've got a few people worldwide.
Yes,
that's
definitely.
Cool.
Yes. I think we hit on a lot of really good points, and again with the mobile, we did release the Noterro GO a couple months ago. It was just a soft release. We haven't done a full strategy of a full-on release, but it is available. The suite is all the suite of features is available, and so we encourage anyone who's a mobile therapist. And the research we've done is it's about 10% of the market, 8 to 10% of the market that is partially mobile. The other thing about mobile, in terms of a consideration, it's also a great way to sort of dip your toe into the entrepreneurial world without trying to set up a practice with a lease and leasehold improvements and upfront costs. And so it's a way that you might say, hey, maybe I want to work for myself, and maybe I'm working for someone else, another clinic, and on Tuesdays and Wednesdays I can try this mobile thing and see if that works for me. So it's also a way of sort of, as I said, dipping your toe into that entrepreneurial market.
Yeah, you just need a car and a little bit of petrol.
A car and a little bit of petrol, and so
and there's no overheads.
And there's no overhead. Yeah, exactly.
I don't do mobile work anymore. I have done it in the past. Jackie does what? Half of your workload would be mobile?
I'm cutting back, which hopefully is not news to Amanda if she's listening. I'm trying to go from about half and half down to 1 day a week because I'm tired, and I've been in this industry for a while, and I'm just tired, and I only really see mobile clients for their elderly as part of the aged care package that we have here in Australia. They're fantastic, and I love them. Some of them are just amazing. I have a couple of amazing clients that I just love, but it is just so stressful, and some of them are not well, and I'm just so tired, so I'm trying to cut down. Long story short.
I was just thinking back to my days of mobile therapy, and when I have talked to mobile therapists, this modus operandi still exists, and the most that a client could request is their preferred day of the week, and then you'd write down, okay, who's coming in on a Wednesday. Then you'd plot your, okay, if I start here, then I can see this person at that time. Then I can go down to here. Then I can go across to here, and I still know therapists who that is how they spend. If they're working on a Wednesday, that's how they spend their Tuesday. Then you send out your text messages from your mobile phone. And it is laborious, and there is a very manual way. So I'm quite excited to see that there are advances in making that mobile work quite efficient.
Yeah.
We do have. I mean, Jackie was reminding me when you said you only deal with seniors. If your clientele was a mixture, we do have a feature that you could, as an example, put a label on all your senior profiles. That you'd put a label called seniors as an example, and then you'd have all your mobile services, and you would put that senior label attached to your service. Your say you do a massage, it's a mobile massage, 60 minutes, and you put a label explicitly saying that you have to have this label on your profile to book this appointment. So you can segment out your clientele as well if you wanted to, and then only they would be allowed to book mobile services.
Yeah, wow,
So,
that's cool.
Yeah, so there's all sorts of ways that you can sort of slice and dice this, and I mean, if anyone is interested, we do have quite a robust support team. We'll do everything from demos to help you set up your account, to audit your account after setup to make sure you set it up optimally. So we want to make sure that you do set it up, because we know that if you haven't set it up properly, you might be frustrated because you haven't set it up properly, and so we want to make sure that the experience is optimal for you.
Yeah. It is really important that that the client can book in very easily and make the payment, and they get, they might not get the time that they want, but the booking process is easy. But it's also really important that the back end of the platform is easy for therapists to use too, because some of them are not.
Yep, I agree. Yep.
That's a complaint that we do hear sometimes in Australia, that like, I can't find the thing, I don't know how it is. So that's really cool that you actually will, go in and support the therapist and say, hey, we're going to, jump on a call and we're going to walk you through this and help you through it. That's awesome.
Part of the mobile experience is, I mean, there's an additional interface for mobile practitioners, and the buttons are larger so they can interact with them as you would on a mobile device if you're using a mobile platform. And we do have pre-baked messages. When you said that, I'm on my way, and they just click a button and it'll message the client to say that I'm on my way, or I'm running late, or you can ring them up. So there's but we don't have it on the map where your car is actually located on the map.
Yeah. We want to see the little car driving around.
Yeah.
I'm lost.
Yeah. They're driving in circles. You're standing on your roof. I'm over here. Yeah.
There's two street names that are exactly the same.
Oh, that's funny.
Hey, Jackie, we've forgotten to ask a very important question.
Oh, David, this is becoming a terrible thing that we keep doing. We need
Nick,
to
we haven't briefed you
it.
on this either. Go for it, Jackie.
Okay. All right. The really important question that we normally would ask people first or second, very, very upfront, is, because it is obviously the most important thing that we do talk about, is who is your favorite superhero and why?
Oh, that's Wanda. Oh my God, what is her name?
WandaVision.
Not what? Yeah, but yes, one. But what's her? Oh my God. I can see her. She's my favorite.
Yeah.
She's my favorite. I just think her character, her and Doctor Strange. Thank God I know superheroes. Oh my God. That's all I can say is, thank God I've consumed it as a child and as an adult. No, Doctor Strange and...
Are you trying to think of the Scarlet Witch? Is that
Scarlet Witch?
What you mean?
Thank you. Yes. Scarlet Witch, and I just think their characters are very interesting, and how they, I guess, what powers that they have. Are interesting.
Yeah.
So those are my two that I gravitate towards.
I don't know the Scarlet Witch.
David, how far behind are you in the MCU?
Probably a very long way. I got exhausted. There is so much to take in.
Oh, okay. Okay. I'll send you a list. All right.
Okay.
You'll catch up.
I have to catch up. I'll go underground for the next 3 years.
Yes, that's how long it will take. Does that mean that you were reading comic books as a kid? Is that what you meant, Nick?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was mainly DC comic books, so Superman and Batman, and
Yeah.
I somewhere in my house here I do have my comic book collection. I don't know where it is. And then I watched all the movies as well.
Yep.
So
Okay, so you're up to date on the MCU.
Thank God. I could have said I have no idea what you're talking about.
We did have that from one guest. That was after briefing them as well.
I can't remember who that was, but I remember the conversation.
We'll talk about that one off air.
My forehead started beating here. I thought pass that test. So I'm going to flip it back to you. Your favorite superheroes?
Mine is Iron Man.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love all of them. I tend to love the MCU quite a bit more than DC stuff, and I've never really read any comic books. But when I get asked this, I always say Thor, and that one's for the obvious reasons. And Spider-Man. I actually love Spider-Man. I love his humanity. And I remember when all the different versions of the Spider-Man movies came out with, Toby and Andrew and, Tom Holland and, different versions. I was like, oh my God, they made another one. Like, why do they have to make so many? It's just ridiculous. But watching the three of them together, and this may be a spoiler for people that are not up to date with Spider-Man, like watching the three of them come together in whatever that movie was, I can't remember the name of it. It was just so good. I was nearly crying. It was just amazing.
Yeah, it was fantastic. Yeah.
It was so good. So I'm really quite partial to Spider-Man. I love his humanity and his vulnerability.
Sure.
Yeah.
And again, if I was trying to get brownie points, I would have said Thor.
Chris Hemsworth.
Chris Hemsworth. I mean, hello.
Yeah.
It's hard not to like Thor, and also the more recent Thor movies. Like I love Natalie Portman as Lady Thor as well.
Yeah.
Like I know a lot of people had some issues with her character, but I just thought it was such a great movie.
Sure. Yeah.
Like, yeah, it was so good.
We
I talk about movies forever.
We better wrap things up, Jackie.
We probably should.
Well, if you have enjoyed this episode of the Folding Towers podcast, there are over 100 other episodes in our back catalogue, which you can listen to on your favorite listening and streaming app. You can visit us at foldingtowerspodcast.com.au, where you'll find a transcript of most, but not all, episodes. Check us out on the socials, through Facebook, through Insta, through that thing called X or whatever it's called these days. Thanks again for your time, Nick. Where can our listeners go to find more about Noterro GO?
That's pretty simple. Just Noterro.com. And
easy.
Follow the links.
We will put the links in the show notes. And thank you so much for talking to us, Nick. We've had a great time chatting today. And yeah, thank you everyone for listening.